Alright, so in case you guys didn't know, one of my favorite animes growing up as a kid had to be Cyborg 009. Like, I'm 29 years old and I still remember the 2003 Toonami lineup as late Saturday nights. And one of those shows was Cyborg 009, which originally had its start as a manga which was written by Shotaro Ishinomori. To which, if you don't know who this guy is, not only was he responsible for creating 009, but he was also the creator behind the popular Kamen Rider series, as well as Super Sentai, which we would wind up getting in America as the Power Rangers. So if you grew up being a fan of this show, or any tokusatsu superhero show out there, y'all need to thank this man. He's the reason why these exist. But in my honest opinion, Cyborg 009 still remains as probably his best work. And I've been looking for a reason to talk about this series for the longest time, and then I found a reimagining of the series that was written by F.J. DeSanto, with the artwork being done by Marcus Tobe. And I ain't gonna lie, I rock with this design. Like, this is sleek. Like, it was giving me the same vibe as that Call of Justice Netflix show, but a lot more sleek. So the comic starts off with our main protagonist, Joe Shimomori, waking up from his sleep. And just as he was waking up, he gets attacked by robots. And in that moment, Joe breaks out of his shackles and then he destroys the robots in a split second, not even knowing how the hell he did that. He then finds himself in some sort of weapons base where he's surrounded by all these scientists and 8 other people that are dressed just like him. And it was here he was given the name 009. And in that same moment, the 8 strangers decided to attack the scientists and rebel against them. One of the scientists tells 009 to destroy the rest of them, but then they tell him not to because of the fact that they were all kidnapped as well. They understand that this is a brand new experience for him because he just woke up and he doesn't have any recollection of his memories, but he has to trust them. So 009 decides to join the rest of them, and they decided to take Dr. Gilmore as hostage. But as it turns out, Dr. Gilmore was the one who planned the entire escape. And in that moment, he tells Joe that he understands that this is a lot for him right now, but their main priority is to stop the man who has abducted all of them from escaping. That same man who is making his escape, and also gave a direct order for the island to be destroyed, which in the struggle 006 winds up getting damaged, and so does 002, which leads to 008 jumping into waters to find them. And after rescuing their comrades and getting them out of harm's way, they decided to find a place in order to hold down for a while, which is a secret underground hideout to where the Black Ghost organization won't be able to track down the cyborgs with the tracing devices that they have in their system. So Dr. Gilmore finally explains to 009 the situation and to bring him up to speed. Basically, what the Black Ghost is an organization that manufactures weapons and is responsible for every single global conflict within the last century. Their leader Sakara had the bright idea to make cyborg warriors, thinking that they would be the next generation within warfare, and have been developing these robots in order to sell them to the highest bidder. The worst thing about this is that none of these cyborgs were specifically chosen for this. They were just unfortunate people that were just randomly picked off the street and were forced to undergo experimentation in order to become weapons. And when Dr. Gilmore found out about this, he was disgusted. The first to undergo the transformation was Ivan Whiskey, whose father decided to use this method in order to save his son's life from a mysterious disease. And despite being the youngest, Ivan is pretty much well adept in telekinetic abilities. He can read minds and use telepathy in order to communicate. The second one to be experimented on is Jet Link, who was trying to defend himself from a mugger and winded up accidentally killing the guy. And while running from the cops, Black Ghost winded up getting their hands on him first. He has high-speed jet propulsions that are built into his feet that can make him go at Mach 5 speed faster than any other jet. The third to be experimented on was Francois Arnault, which after a ballet recital and walking home with her brother, never to see her brother again. I'm recording the rest in my office right now, so sorry for the change of scenery. Anyway, Francois was pretty much outdated with higher sensory acuity. What that means is that she's a human sonar and she can pick up sounds from a very large distance. The fourth member is Albert Henrik from Germany, who tried to sneak himself and his fiancée into the country illegally in order to get married, but were met with tragedy when their plane crashed. After that, Black Ghost took him captive and made him into the fourth member of the group, to which this guy is a human Swiss Army knife. Not only does he have a machine gun that's built into his right hand, but his left hand is also built as a razor sharp knife. And if that wasn't crazy enough, he also has missile launchers that are built into his knee. This man will literally bring the heat. And next up is Junior, who is a Native American who was looking for work in order to help out his people. And when Black Ghost seeked him out, they told him that they would be able to help him if he agreed to help him with a little experiment. Little did he know, it was all a lie. What they did give him was enhanced strength to where it's equal to 50 men, and armor skin that is pretty much impenetrable to most weaponry. Next up is 006, who used to be a chef, but after losing both his restaurant and his wife, he decided that the best way out is suicide, until someone from the Black Ghost organization stopped him and pretty much made him into another weapon. His real name is Chain Chain Ku, and he's basically a human flamethrower, with flames hot enough and capable enough to burn through solid stone. And then there's 007, whose real name is Great Britain. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, these names are getting ridiculous. He was a failed drunk actor who pretty much couldn't get work, and his life and his career were pretty much down the drain. Until Black Ghost finally got their hands on him and he pretty much became a living chameleon. What that means is that he could literally reshape his face as well as his body at a molecular level to make himself look like anyone and anything out there in the world, making him the perfect master of disguise and perfect at espionage. The 8th member is Payunma from Africa, who was a freedom fighter who winded up getting abducted by the Black Ghost, which their experimentation winded up giving him mechanical lungs to help him breathe underwater. And what that means is that he could swim to the deepest depths of the ocean and he never gets tired and he'll never run out of air. Not to mention this will help him withstand the pressures of the ocean. And then of course there's our very own 009, who is regarded as being the strongest of them all. He has increased strength, resistant to damage, infrared vision, internal oxygen supply, but his greatest power is his acceleration mode. What this mode is that once he switches it on, it makes everything around him look like it's standing still to where he's moving at unbelievable speeds. Joe also remembers that he was once a street delinquent that winded up getting into trouble until he met the love of his life, Ayumi. Unfortunately though, when her brother found out about them running away together, he and his mobster goons decided to beat Joe to near death. And it was at this point that he was founded by Black Ghost, and they not only saved his life, but they made him into a weapon. And the one thing that this comic really captures that I love about the anime is how close these characters are together. None of them asked for this life, and none of them asked to become weapons. And all of them just want to go back to their own lives. But knowing that's impossible for them now that they're being hunted by an evil organization, and fearful that the world will shun them for who they are, it just makes them all the more compelling. And I'm gonna be real here, they literally made Black Ghost all the more terrifying in this comic. Like, look at this man, he's literally on demon time right now. And even though that this is the only comic from this series that ever came out, in my opinion, it really did capture the heart and the essence of the series and what made it good in the first place. 9 unfortunate victims being turned into weapons and are forced to not only defend themselves, but to also protect humanity, and stopping their evil creator from plunging the world into a third world war. Like, I was really afraid it wasn't going to be as good as the manga or the TV show, but honestly, I'm actually glad that I read this. The writing was great, the characters were on point, and I love the character designs here. Like, I really love the character designs here. In my opinion, this is probably the best thing from the franchise. And with that, guys, this comic gets nothing more but a 5 out of 5 from me.